it's something as a sheriff's office we've tried to push out on social media a lot. Have tried to combat it ahead of time because so many of these cases are difficult for us to work on the back end once you have become a victim of a crime that involves especially the internet scams, cryptocurrency scams, things of that nature. So they're much more difficult to work a lot of times because the proximity of the individual that's scamming our citizens is a lot of times not even in the United States. So it makes it very difficult for us. So for us as law enforcement to try to combat this, the most effective way is to prevent the crime from ever occurring. You know, there's a lot of crimes that we have no control over stopping them because people are going to do evil things. Right? Evil exists in the world. It's going to happen when we come in and we try to take care of it on the back end. But this is one that is going to be much easier for us if we can get the information out there and prevent it from ever happening. I think I know everybody in here, so I don't think I need to introduce myself as Tommy Blankenship, the sheriff. But this is Kevin Campbell. I don't know if he plans on talking about himself. He may not, but I will. Kevin is a great asset to our agency. He's been with the sheriff's office just under 3 years. Is already promoted to the position of detective. Has taken on the role of our white-collar crimes investigator. But he is not new to law enforcement. He actually spent a large portion of his career, over a decade, somewhere 13, 15 years? 16 years, with the LAPD. And searched the United States because he wanted out of California. And found little old Pickens County and decided to settle here. Kevin has numerous different skills that he could make tons of money in the private sector if he wanted to do something else, but has chosen having a servant's heart to serve at the sheriff's office. He also has a business that he runs at C2C Depths, where they do a lot of diving. So you spend time on the lake and you lose an article, this guy can find it. He'll go down there and get it. If you're interested in scuba, this guy can help you. But he is a tremendous investigator. Like I said, to be at the sheriff's office no longer than he has, to make the position of detective and to be tasked with a investigative area that catches a lot of cases and are very important to us. So he, like I said, he's a great asset. He's been a good friend of mine. A lot of things that I'm trying to update with our agency came out of his brain. I can't give you too much credit, or y'all might make him share. So without further ado, this is Kevin Campbell, and just when you have those questions, don't think twice about asking them. You know, you've heard the old adage, the only dumb question is the one not asked. I believe that because if you've got a question in your mind, somebody else in the room probably has the same question. So be bold and brazen enough to get that answer. Questions, comments, concerns before I hand it over to Investigator Kevin Campbell. Awesome, thank you. Also, on a side note, sorry. I'm going to slip out about 10:30. I have to be in Seneca, so if you look around for me and I'm gone, I apologize, but Sheriff over there has a meeting he wants me to attend.
Hi, Kevin Campbell. Like Sheriff said, I'm not one to boast and brag. That's why even on this introductory slide, I don't even have the things I've done. It's not about me, it's about presentation and being here for you folks. I have some handouts out on the table here. I made a boo-boo. I might be having some more brought up here because I didn't bring the appropriate box, but I do have some stuff. What you see up on the screen, obviously is the non-emergency phone number for the sheriff's office. I have to reckon that most of you know what the number is, but that is just a non-emergency line. In case you have issues with your neighbor or something, property lines, questions, comments, concerns, that's how to get a hold of us down at the sheriff's office, other than 911. And then that is my business card. So some people just take a picture of that. I actually have physical business cards down here on the table if you would like to grab one. One second. If you want me to bring one to you, raise your hand. I'll bring one to you. I know some are a little mobility challenged, so I am mindful of our groups here. But it has my desk number, don't call it, I'm never there. My cell phone number and email. Honestly, the majority of the stuff that I do is through email. Everything that I do for white collar crime is documentation, right? So I need if you're, somebody hacked into your debit card, I need bank transactions, I need credit reports, I need things like that, so it is easier just for me to go back and forth with emails, just because, as you can imagine, I have a lot. I'm the sole investigator for the white collar crimes in Pickens County, so I'm it. We have our special victims unit, we have our general investigations, but in regards to white collars and frauds, some agencies call it economic crimes. For Pickens County, I'm the guy, the one and only. So that's that. I have more business cards. If anybody didn't get one and wants one, or you work with other folks, or you want to take some, I have plenty, so don't be shy. Like Sheriff was saying, there's no dumb question. There are a lot of victims that are afraid to speak out. If you are a victim, go ahead and share your story. I can't, every victim that I have, I tell them, please tell your church folks, tell your family, because there's a lot of different things that are out there that people just do not know, even with me. I'm still learning. There's new technology all the time. Trying to find some of these pamphlets that I found some from 2012, and I threw them in the trash. Because what was relevant in 2012 is not relevant today. What is relevant this month may not be relevant next month. So it is forever changing. If you have a cell phone, raise your hand. Everybody, right? So these things are great, they're convenient, terrible, right? Same thing with computers. Good, convenient, terrible. And we'll go through it. And I actually have, Sheriff has a command staff meeting every morning, and so it got brought up that you folks were looking to do something like this, and I got tasked with putting together a PowerPoint presentation. From that morning, it took me about 2 days to put this together. Just from that day, you will see, I just started going through my emails, and I took screenshots of stuff that I received, so I can show you, even I'm bombarded with all this stuff. Nobody's immune from any of this. It's just knowing what to look for, okay? So, with that said, if you have to scoot out, scoot out. Not gonna hurt my feelings. I will try and run through this as much as we can. Just so the PowerPoint meat and potatoes is done, but I will be here all day. If somebody wants to talk, give me specific scenarios, questions, comments, concerns, I will answer every question until the last one's answered. So I'll be here all day, but if you have to scoot out, I understand that. All right, what is a scam? Okay. A scam is a trick to steal your money, information, or identity. Okay. There are multiple different ways that they can get a hold of you. Like I said, with this cell phone, with your landline at your house, with your computer, there is a lot of different ways. There are certain people that, one thing in here is in person. There are certain demographics that you won't see them for a handful of months. They come up here and they sell you a bag of goods, right? Hey, I can throw down some pine straw at your, at your property for a third of what it should actually cost. Same thing with, I can do your, do some new 57 run right on your driveway, or asphalt, or wherever else, and it's a $10,000 job, but hey, we have extra material and we'll do it for $2,000. Okay. More often than not, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Okay, that is the biggest thing. If it's too good to be true, it ain't. Okay. So just be mindful of that. Okay. So this is from the Federal Trade Commission. This is the latest and greatest from 2024. Like I said, I was coming through and actually found some pamphlets from the Federal Trade Commission that were from 2012. And as soon as I saw the date on it, I threw them in the trash can. Okay. Because again, in 2012, it is not the same. It's 2024. This is obviously the whole fiscal year. We're in 25 now. We're not going to have the most up-to-date in, what do we know, May? End of May? So, as you can see, it just has a couple different things, right? So, you got your top frauds or imposters, online shopping and negative reviews. You have business and job opportunities. Number 4 is investments. 5 is internet services. Obviously, the losses to investment scams keep climbing. Okay, again, I could say, what was it George Face on? Oh, it's in front of property in Arizona? too good to be true, too good to be true, it's too good to be true. I'm seeing a lot right now of real estate fraud on the lake. A lot of times they will go after vacant lots. So if you have acreage, be mindful, keep track of your properties, your deeds. What ends up happening, because they do the vacant lots, nobody's checking on them, right? If there's a house on a property that you are trying to sell, what do you have to provide to the real estate agent for them to get in? A key, right? Vacant lots, they have keys, or the buildings. Does anything need to be described? Oh, I installed this sink back in 2023, right? It's just a vacant lot, and I'm seeing that. I think I've gotten 3 just in the last week, about a week and a half. And one gentleman, he lives in Texas. He's a Clemson alum, and he bought property down here off of 183. The next thing he knows, he's being contacted by a real estate agent saying, hey, are you trying to sell this property? Because somebody is posing as you, and they provided a passport, it looks like a legitimate passport. Again, this is all I do, so I know how to dig into different things. For place of birth, it says Mexico, USA. So the name was accurate, the date of birth for the gentleman was accurate, passport number was fake. It comes back to a female somewhere else. The photograph is not the victim. The font, and we'll get into the font and everything else. Everything is probably one of the cleanest fake passports I've ever seen. But they made a mistake and it says place of birth Mexico, USA. Red flag, right? Look for spelling, and again, I'll get into this in some of the other slides, but look for spellings, look for font. Younger people are reported losing money to fraud more often than older people, right? So they are, more often than not, they are more common as a victim. The issue is, if you look at the actual money that is lost, it's the older folks that are losing more money because they're older, right? Better credit, they have more money, they have more savings, they have property, they have things to their name. Most 20-year-olds, where are they living? Right? So everybody chuckles, but we all know the answer. 20-year-olds still live with mom and dad or grandparents. Right? Email. So the highest overall number of reports was over 300,000 emails. Right? Social media, we're talking $1.9 billion. 1.9 billion. Okay. So there's a lot of money out there, and that's why they do it. So next thing, this is specific to South Carolina. Okay. So this is the Federal Trade Commission, specific for South Carolina. And I don't know, you can see that, right? But it talks about number of reports, right? The total losses, everything else. So you can see, once we start getting into, 19 and under, 20 to 29, but really the biggest losses, right, are 60 to 69 years of age, and we're talking over 3,200. And this is just in South Carolina. This is just what's reported. Okay, I have plenty of other people that don't even report it, right, because they're embarrassed. A lot of times what ends up happening, again with older folks, and I have one right now, it's a crypto scam, which I have flyers from Secret Service. Okay, Sheriff's Office, we don't do crypto. Okay, if you don't even know what crypto is, it's digital currency. That's the whole other PowerPoint I have. I'm not even trying to get you caught up with what cryptocurrency is. Bitcoin, I don't know if people have heard that term, but we at the Sheriff's Office do not do Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I have a current case right now, and we're talking about close to $30,000 that this lady put into an ATM machine at, I can't remember if it was Hotspot or somewhere else. Now her son is trying to kind of become power of attorney, right? Mom just lost $30,000 from her savings, so now son thinks she's not able to make her own decisions, and now he's going through the court process, okay, of becoming power of attorney for finances. And that is what ends up happening with a lot of older folks, right? That fear of, if I tell my family this is what happened, they're not gonna let me drive anymore. They're gonna become my power of attorney. I can't make my own decisions. They don't even tell their families. I just went to a conference up in Charlotte, and it was put on by the International Association of Financial Crime Investigators, right? We got all the acronyms. But it was AARP, put on a presentation, and this lady, over $400,000, right, that she took out of another scam we did. And she hasn't even told her friends, her family, anybody. Almost $500,000, and she told nobody. The first time that she spoke about it was at this conference in front of a whole bunch of law enforcement and big professionals, because AARP had her come in and tell. And every one of us was saying, you need to tell everybody. Because if it happened to you, it's going to happen to somebody else. And if they don't know, unless they come to a presentation like this, they're not going to know what's happening. You have to tell your friends and family. It happened. Because that's how you prevent more victims. So again, look at the dollar amount, right? The biggest dollar loss for that group up there, 70 to 79 years old. Over $18 million in South Carolina. Okay. I couldn't find anything specific to Pickens County. This is the closest I could get to where we are right here. So, anybody between the ages of 50 to 79 here? Right? Everybody? So, I'm a cop, right? Not an engineer. So, if you add up between 50 to 79, that looks like a lot of money. Right? 11 million, 14 million, and 18 million. It's a lot of money just from that age group. So again, younger generations, they're getting hit more often for the frauds and the crimes and everything else, but it is the older generation that is actually taking more of a financial loss. Okay? All right, so there are a lot of different terms that are out there. I try and be humorous with this. Catfishing. Okay? Catfishing is a term. Obviously, most everybody here knows what a regular catfish is, right? That beautiful thing up on the top. Okay? The thing on the bottom, you can see. With technology, there are filters. Okay? There are certain things, if I really wanted and I had the time, I could pretend up here, talk through the phone, and it could be Sheriff's voice. I could call you pretending that I am Sheriff Blankenship. 100% from my phone. There is technology that is out there. There are phone calls that are out there that you can spoof a number where it makes it look like it's coming from the sheriff's office, and it's not. Okay. I have other flyers where we say, hang up the phone. Hang up the phone. Okay. There's nothing wrong with, if I call you, and you would be surprised. Almost every one of my victims, I have to jump through hoops to prove who I am. To say, I am really a detective of the sheriff's office. Right, because somebody pretended that they were, a detective from the sheriff's office, and that's how they got scammed, saying they had a warrant out of $30,000. Okay, so catfishing is pretending that you are somebody else. Okay, it's a relationship by means of a fictional online persona. Okay, there are a handful of documentaries that are out there right now. One that I actually made my kids watch because I have a 17-year-old and a boy and a 15-year-old daughter. Okay. I did not want to give them phones. I lost that battle with my wife. But I made them sit down and watch a documentary on Netflix. Manti Te'o he was a stud, a star linebacker for the University of Notre Dame. Comes from Hawaii, somewhere out there in the Pacific Islands, and he goes on to have an online relationship with a girlfriend, and has a long-distance girlfriend. Come to find out, it was not a girl, it was a boy that knew everything about him. And kind of small town, right, out in Hawaii, kind of knew everything about him, and because of that, if you were to watch the documentary and know his story, I don't know if people remember Junior Seau. He was a star linebacker back in the day with Chargers and USC, the University of Southern California. And he was going to be the next Junior Seau, and his pro football career got completely dismantled because of this whole online persona, girlfriend thing that wasn't even a girl, it was a boy. So who you think you are talking to may not be who you think you are talking to. Okay. So that is catfishing. Alright, so anyone can be the next victim. But scammers target seniors specifically because some of the things that we already just talked about. Okay. Everybody in here was polite. How you doing? Alright? We trying to talk to my 15-year-old daughter. Now I have the thing. When she was younger, I would go 1, 2, 3, and she knew what was coming on 3. Now at 15, I'm going backwards. Thank you, you're welcome, and please. Because at 15, she's forgotten all of this stuff. So it's a struggle, okay? Again, as you're older, you've paid off your debts, you've paid off your loans, you're not going out and buying a brand new $100,000 sports car, right? What we have is what we have, and we're happy with it, you know? We're not going out and buying new things. Usually when you go out to buy the new things and apply for loans, that's when you find out, oh, wait a minute, why do I have a loan with such and such bank? Right? So we're not applying for things, so we're not running our credit. We're not going to financial institutions that are running our credit for us, so you really have no idea what may or may not be happening with your credit, because you haven't applied for a loan in 20, 30 years. Right? Less familiar with technology, and more often than not, they live alone and they value contact. Okay? A lot of my victims that I speak with, my husband died a couple years ago, my wife died a couple years ago, my kid's busy with their grandkids, I don't see them that often, somebody called me, and it just started off very superficial, and I just thought it was a friendly relationship. That's what they do. They're very heartwarming. They kind of bait you, get you to talk on the phone, and then before you know it, you start going down that road. You think that this is your friend, this is the relationship that you have with them, and before you know it, hey, something happened. I have a medical emergency. Can I have $1,000? Okay, well, you give them an inch, they take a mile. Okay, $1,000 quickly turns into 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, and it's repeated multiple attempts to just get financial gain from you. Okay? But that's why more often than not, I have a lot of victims that are seniors. But again, it's not just seniors. I have plenty. I have one right now. She's 20-some years old. Works at Walmart. This is Detective Greg. She is my saving grace right now, bringing everything else that I failed to prepare her. I appreciate it, Detective Greg. Bye. So I have what we were just talking about, credit reports, right? So if you are not applying for a brand new fancy Ford Mustang or Corvette, nobody's running your credit. Okay? You are entitled to a free credit report every year from the credit bureaus. So I have some of those. There are specific things in here about cyber security basics. Okay? And again, you can take whatever you want. These are off the press from the Department of Consumer Affairs. So this talks about protecting your files and devices, your wireless network, your identity and privacy, shopping and surfing online. Everybody have do Amazon? Amazon for you. Password tips and phishing scams. And then how to prevent yourself from identity theft. So I have plenty of things, goodies, handouts that you can take with you. And again, if you're still working somewhere else and you want to take something and disseminate them, like in your lobbies, wherever you may or may not work, or other places you visit, go ahead, feel free. I can get more of these. They don't cost me nothing from the Department of Consumer Affairs. Okay. So I got to point to him because my little Bluetooth clicker doesn't connect all the way back to his. All right, then I'll work anymore. So common scams. All right. Majority of us may, not us, but majority of all might be grandparents. So there's a grandparent scam, there's a tech support scam, lottery prizes, publisher clearinghouse is still a thing. I got a case a couple weeks ago, same thing, it's about another $30,000 that they talked this gentleman into a Navy vet, so it's his Navy pension. Talked him into applying for a Wells Fargo account, then he applied for a loan, then he put that loan money in Wells Fargo, and the whole scam is, well, you have to pay taxes on the price, right? And this is, again, I've been a cop for 19 years now. Some of this stuff has been around since I was a rookie, over 19 years. It's just the manner in which they're collecting their payment is different. Scams, still the same. So he puts the money into Wells Fargo, gets a debit card, they tell him, go ahead and mail the debit card down to Florida. Okay, so he doesn't keep track of where he sends it. That debit card is now in Jamaica, and they are withdrawing money from an ATM in Jamaica. We don't have jurisdiction, there's nothing I can do about it. He's like, so I just have to chalk it up as a loss? Yeah, you do. Because I can't get a court order here in the United States to serve on a bank in Jamaica. They're not going to honor it. I've actually had, and I love this, I love California. I have a victim, and the money went to a bank in California. They won't even honor the court order from here, from the circuit judge. They consider it a foreign court order. So in order for me to domesticate it, I have to do it in person, and I have to jump through all these hoops. That's the first time I've encountered this. A lot of these other banks, Wells Fargo, Truist, if I have to jump through hoops, it's kind of a pain, but it is one of those things where that's the first time I've actually encountered saying, yeah, we're not going to accept your court order because it's not from in-state. It's my problem. Making IRS scams, romance scams. Okay, romance scams kind of go hand in hand with sometimes catfishing, the term that we were talking about, and then the law enforcement arrest warrants. Again, that one's been around since I was a rookie in Los Angeles. Grandparent scam. Try to put it on if you can see there. Right? It says, Nana, come see me. Honey, I live 400 miles away, but now I'm hungry. So what does Nana do? She's on her little scooter and she's going up the freeway. Right? You'll do anything for your grandkids. Usually what ends up happening is it's a fake call that comes in that a loved one is in trouble, right? Whether it's legal or medical. So what ends up happening is, more often than not, a lot of times we will solicit information on the phone to these people. And they say, I didn't put it in there. Oh, I did. Don't say names, right? Tell me what happened, right? So it could very well be one of those that they didn't even know, hey, you had a grandchild. They're just assuming, and they don't know any personal information about you, okay? But as soon as you say, hey, name, what did they do? They got you on that hook, okay? And they can say, well, we caught Tommy spray painting a bridge down here in Greenville, right? So in order to get him out, you need to transfer us $2,000 for his bail money, something else, okay? That's how this works. And it's a very quick scam because it pulls on your heartstrings. And what ends up happening is you get what we call tunnel vision. Everything else is a blur because you're just so focused on trying to help somebody that you love that is in a bind. Or, hey, they were in a bad accident, but they can't afford to pay for their medical bills. But if you send $2,000, we can do this emergency surgery, right? So that's how they get you for the grandparent scam. What does it say? Hang up the phone. Hang up the phone and try to contact the family member directly. I cannot stress that throughout this whole PowerPoint. Hang up the phone. Okay? That's how they will get you every single time. You need to break that tunnel vision or, put it on you. Hey, try and call Johnny. Right? If you're with somebody, have that other person. Me? I just hang up the phone. We go back to this, the older folks, victims, right, more polite, more courteous. Sometimes you just need to be rude, right? It is one of those things that if a lot of us have no solicitation signs on our doors, right, unless you are welcoming somebody coming up to your property to sell you something, then why would you be doing it on the phone, okay? It is one of those things where you just hang up the phone. But if you can't, right, then try and get in contact with that specific family member and say, are you okay? Okay, that will kind of get you to realize that there's a problem here and don't send any money. Okay. So another common scam is tech support. So like I said, when Sheriff asked me to put together this PowerPoint presentation, not both screens there. So what I did is, and this is just from that morning, I got an email from, I think, my captain, you know how it rolls, right? Sheriff's up here, and I'm down here, and it's just email. So, but I wanted to show you that this is what you need to do. And again, this is what I'm telling my kids, 17, 15 years old. This is what I'm telling them. You see that little red dot, right? So my name is Kevin Scott Campbell, okay? And so this looks like it's addressed to me. Kevin Scott Campbell, K.S. Campbell, K.S. Campbell. From the 2, and it's also CC. CC means carbon copy, right? But this looks like Norton antivirus software programming, okay? So, looks legitimate. That looks like Norton antivirus, which has been around forever, right? Netflix, we all got Netflix. And what is this? iCloud. But it says, this is cloud, and it's the iCloud. Right? Majority of people have iPhones. So they're getting you to it's that hook, right? They just need you to bite on it or to click on something. Okay? These are what you consider phishing emails. They're throwing that hook out there, hoping you bite. Okay? So, right? Looks legitimate. Any questions? No?
So if you click on that, then what do they do?
They hack in your computer. So there's a lot of different ways that they can do it, but I have seen with Norton specifically is now they can do like remote access, right? So you click on it, they'll tell you to call somebody, they call, and then it's one of those where, hey, I'm going to have remote access to your computer. As soon as you give them remote access to your computer, then it is one of those where they can see everything. They get into your emails.
That is exactly what happened to me.
See?
You've described mine right down to the T. Once it was a legitimate looking PayPal, actually, and I use PayPal. It was fake. I clicked on it because it said I owed money that I know that I didn't. It all looked legitimate, and once I clicked, that was it.
Yeah.
They had me, and then the call, I called them, that's what it was. I called when I saw it and said, oh no, I don't know this. And it was the scammer.
Yeah.
And he said, do you know anything about AI? Well, I said, no. Oh, that was really good for him. He loved it. So then he proceeds to get fake bank screens of my, I watched him control my computer. I watched the mouse moving around. He could do my keystrokes. He got my bank account. He put up fake screens with the money in it, with it out, and it went from 1,500 to 15,000, and then the nice guy dropped.
Yeah.
Then he started threatening.
Yeah. And that's usually how it goes,
It's
right?
very, very scary.
They get you on that hook.
Exactly.
And once they get you on that hook, an inch turns into a mile very quickly. I've seen different ways where they say, hey, I need you to put in this number, right? Whether it's 800,
Yes.
right? Well, you putting in 800 is actually a dollar amount. It doesn't look like it on your screen, but these guys know what they're doing. And the ones that are very good at it, you're authorizing a charge by putting in the security code, but the security code is actually a dollar amount on their screen. Okay? So very quickly, it's $1,500, it turns into $15,000 because they add a zero to a decimal something.
You can't put the decimal in.
Yeah.
When he said type it, how much we're to give you back. And when I typed it, it wouldn't let me put the decimal point,
Yeah.
which changed the 1,500 then to 15,000.
Yeah.
And then it went.
Yeah. So, but these look legitimate, right? If you just, on face value, that looks like Norton's logo, it looks like Netflix. The cloud one just screams fake from the start of it. Next.
How do you tell if that's legit?
All right.
Getting
Hold on. Hold on. All right. So here's what you need to do. Okay. So now I just took it and blew it up. Okay. So this is the Netflix one. If you, right here, you see at the very top where it says dash, K.S. Campbell's dash, if you click on that, that will be the sender on any email, right? So if I sent you one from my my regular work email, it shows up as, you know, KS, you know, whatever. It'll say Kevin Campbell, because we're all part of Microsoft now. But if you click on it, it will show you my email address of ksc@pickenscountysc.gov. So if you click on any of these, whether it's on your phone or on your email, the very top up there, where it's bold, that is the sender. This is from Netflix. This is the address that it came from. So you see it here, where it still looks the same, dash KS Campbell's, dash. This is the actual address, email address this email came from. Where in there does it have Netflix? Nowhere. Right? So that's how you know this is a scam. This is a phishing email, because more than likely, these, when they do this, they have hacked into some other email account, and that's how they are sending you phishing emails. This was just one.
Is it safe to click on that email account?
Just to see where it's coming from?
Yes,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
safe. Okay.
There's no way that they can hide that. Okay? There's nothing by you clicking on that, because it is what you call a hyperlink. Just like if I were to click on where it says to Kevin or CC Kevin, by me clicking on that, it's going to bring up a screen, kind of like this one, and it's going to tell me what that email address is going to. Right? You will not get baited or hacked or anything by just clicking on that there to show who it's from. Can everybody see where I'm pointing? Yeah?
So what if you click block this contact?
Then it'll block it. That's it. So, but you're gonna have 1,000 more coming from different places. You can do it. So, it's time consuming. I just sit there and delete. I was doing it for a while. The spam calls, I'm more concerned about my phone always ringing. Because again, like Sheriff was saying, I got my personal line, now my work number that I put on the business card rings through that. Now I just started a business on the side, so it rings through that. I have one phone that's ringing for 3 different purposes at this point. So the calls that I get, right, that keep coming from the New England area, oh, the loan that you applied for, you're pre-qualified, or I don't even answer it. I just let it go to voicemail, I block the number, and then I go to the voicemail. So that's a Netflix one. I don't know what this is. I keep getting this like a lot right now. So if you see, and I'm one of these, not all, either you have 0 notifications or you have like 1,000. I'm one of the guys that I don't like notifications. So I try and clear everything out. So the fact that there's 48 here means that I just got bombarded that morning. Right? And it's all junk. So another example, this milestone dot card, right? This whole thing just looks like a hot mess, right? All these underscores in this application process, it just looks like a hot mess, okay? But again, I just want to show you the easiest way that you can tell if something's legit or not is by clicking on where it came from, because it will bring up this screen. This is just on my iPhone, right? What is this email address that it came from? Does that even look American? Right? And that's usually what ends up happening, like Sheriff was saying. A lot of this stuff is dust up in the air. I will try my best for every one of my victims. At the end of the day, me solving certain things, it's a depressing job. It just is, because I don't have jurisdiction to follow through with it, like all the Navy vet, right? It's his Navy pension that's getting withdrawn from an ATM in Jamaica. Can't help you, sir. I'm sorry. There are a lot of things that I don't have jurisdiction to do. With crypto, the money moves so fast, right? That's why people use it. It's because it's decentralized. There's not really a way to track it. I can kind of see where it's going, but then even those people are victims of scams that have accounts created in their names. It's a mess. So my only thing that I can do is empower you, right? So that you can spread this with friends, family, other members of the church, grandchildren, anything, right? When we're going to do a brand new iPhone for Christmas, right? The grandchild, tell them, hey, this is the world that's out there. Before you know it, your identity is CC to me, right? Uh-oh, your info was stolen, found a breach or a data breach in your device. We're gonna offer you 57% off the discount. Sound great? Just too good to be true? Too good to be true, okay? Where does this come from? Newsletter at SINA.com. Is that Norton? Does anything from this tell you that's from Norton? To make it look legitimate? It's not. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't even know how many more slides I have of this. My computer's weird. But I can just keep going on and on and on. Okay? Right? Dash, pound, or hashtag KS Campbell, right? And it says to Kevin, comma, another address is admin at VAYL.m.BBZ. Huh? Right. Anybody ever take French? Or speak French? No? Me either. Well, when I see this down here, right, isn't mercy a French word? Like thank you? I think I saw a movie one time, but I think they said that. That's what caught my eye. What is this? Okay. I was talking about Flower Mountain, Texas. Okay, but again, if you only walk out of here with one thing, you're gonna know how to click on an email link where something came from. Okay. So this came from newsletter.f@landingfireshandbook.org. Huh? How is that iCloud? Or how is that cloud? Right? I've never heard of just cloud. It's Verizon Cloud, it's iCloud, it's some sort of cloud, just not cloud. You know, and I still get these to this day. And I can block all these email addresses, you will forever be bombarded. Until there's federal regulations with a lot of this stuff, even like the do not call, right? It used to be great back in the day. You could not get a spam call. Now, I don't know what happened to that law. It's annoying. This is another one? Alright, so this one, look at this. It doesn't even say who it's from. It's like a period and 2 dashes. Right? Your cloud's been disabled. Alright. Newsletter.kige@14carats.com. Well, I think 14 carats would be jewelry, right? Okay. But again, if you only learn anything from me today, click on where that email is coming from. And that will forever tell you that's a scam. Okay? This is all about awareness, okay, and how to protect yourself. Okay, same thing, right? Cloud again. From DysonEnergyServices.co.uk, right? Overseas. That's telling me overseas. Yeah? So if you came into the sheriff's office and said, I clicked on this link and I did something and I made a big mistake and I gave him $10,000, please help me. Me as a detective, when I call you, I'm going to tell you, sorry. I have plenty of other cases that I can try and attempt to work. That right here, I'm more often than not, I'm probably going to close your case as soon as I get it. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do with it. And that's the unfortunate part. So. We get the point? I'm going to keep going? Beat the dead horse here? Right? And that's what I said. This was just that morning when I got the email from Sheriff saying, hey, I want you to do this presentation. Okay. Screenshot. And this is, as you see up in the corner, I had 48 unread emails. And that's not counting work. That's not counting my business. That's not counting my iCloud address. That was just my personal Hotmail account. Okay. LaminateBuyersHandbook.org, right? That was another one that we saw before. All right, lottery prize scam. Okay, we kind of talked about the publisher clearinghouse. I think I might have put up here. Yeah, so this is the one I was kind of talking about. I know it's kind of hard to read. I had to kind of redact, certain things into the information. So I have to just read it, skim it really quick. Okay, so this is April 25. Okay, I didn't put the date because I'm trying to mask it a little bit for the sheriff's office in reference to a fraud. On my arrival, I met with, so this is the deputy type, this is an actual report, the deputy wrote this. Upon my arrival, I met with the victim, who stated that on approximately December 24, he received a phone call from a subject that identified himself as John Davis with Publishers Clearinghouse, and then the suspect phone number came from 914 area code. Victim stated that Mr. Davis told him that he had won $2.5 million, but that he would have to pay an unknown amount of funds to pay for the taxes in order to receive the cash prize. Victim stated that Mr. Davis then advised him to go to a local convenience store and purchase 4 $100 gift cards. Do not purchase gift cards if somebody tells you to purchase gift cards. That's why even I went into DG yesterday, right? I ran out of deodorant. I go in there, right? Buy some deodorant, so I look presentable today. There is a sign now at the DG saying gift cards can only be paid in cash. Okay? What ends up happening, you park down here at Long Shoals Park, and somebody breaks into your car, right? Well, what used to happen is that they would take your debit cards, credit cards, run down the street to Walmart DG, and start just racking up credit cards. Okay? Bad guys just getting smarter now. They know I can pull those transactions, and who do I see on DG surveillance cam buying gift cards with a stolen credit card? Right? Well, there you are. Well, you're going to jail now. Very easy. Okay? But that's why there's so much fraud that is going on with debit cards versus gift cards. Don't be surprised when you go to certain places now you can only purchase gift cards with cash. So don't buy gift cards if someone tells you to buy gift cards. That's payment. Okay? Okay? So he purchased a gift card from General Needs, right? He told him to send a photograph of the security code on the back of the gift card. So he did. A week later, Mr. Davis contacted him again. The phone call said the cash prize was now $5 million, and that he would have to pay approximately $20,000 in taxes to receive the prize. It still sounds pretty good, but if I pay 20 grand, I'm gonna get $5 million. I would if I had the money. So we go on and on, right? But this is a legitimate deputy that typed this report after speaking to the victim. Okay. We kind of already talked about it. So the gentleman, Navy vet, living on his pension, he opens an account. They tell him to apply for a loan, put the funds from that loan in the account. FedExes a debit card down to Florida, I think Miami somewhere. Doesn't keep track of the transaction number, doesn't keep track of where he actually sent this package, and then I start pulling it up and taking transactions, right, the withdrawals, and you see down there at the very bottom, I take the cameras and mess up and down. I ran the phone number of 914 area code, which returns to an IntelliQuint subscriber. I didn't go in the weeds with it, but it's a Wi-Fi number. IntelliQuint is a Wi-Fi number. Okay? It's not legitimate through AT&T, through Verizon, T-Mobile. It's a made-up number that's only online. Okay? That's what IntelliQuint tells me as an investigator. And then I have to jump through hoops to figure out who did IntelliQuint sell the number to. Did they sell it to Google? Did they sell it to Text Now? Because there's all these apps that you can text from. My business card that I have, right, the phone number that is on it, I'll be completely blunt with you, is a Google Voice phone number. It is an 864 area code. My phone, I got when I was 17 years old. I'm about to be 42. Okay? It's an 818 area code. 818 area code is from Los Angeles. I've had this since I was 17. So you can imagine all the thousands of cops I've worked with. I didn't move out here until I was 37. They don't want to give up my number. But if I called you as my victim from a Los Angeles area code number, should you pick up that phone? Right? I didn't want to give up my number, and I don't make enough money to go buy another phone. So I found a workaround. I went through Google. I have a Gmail account. When you do that, I created a 864 area code because I wanted it to be from Pickens. If you were to call it right now, it will ring through the to my phone that is an 818 number. See where I'm going with this? So, IntelliPoint can tell me they sold that number to Google. They sold that number to WhatsApp. They sold that number to TextNow. There's a lot of different apps that are out there that you can buy a number. We call it a spoof number, right? Me, as an investigator, I don't waste my time chasing phone numbers. You can tell me all day long, so-and-so called me from this number, that's fine. I'll document it, I'll notate it, but I'm not gonna waste my time because there's so much wiggle room and so much play area that you can do with phone numbers. It's a lot of, it's very time consuming for me that really doesn't produce results. Okay? So now you can see I'm requesting access to the Cinch portal, to the terms of IntelliPoint, send it to Cinch, and now, right? So I can see that the withdrawals are from NCB, Lucio Branch, CEA, Hanover, returns to National Commercial Bank, Lucio, Hanover, Jamaica. So on his bank statements, it shows withdrawal from that NCB, Lucio Branch, CEA, Hanover. When I research it, it's telling me it's an ATM in Jamaica. I'll call my victim back. Sorry. Like, can you tell me where you mailed the card down in Florida? No. Do you have a transaction that you did with FedEx? Do you have a receipt? No. Then I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. If you can't tell me where you sent that card to Jamaica, or I'm sorry, to Florida, which is still in the United States of America, I can have contacts, I can call certain people, I might be able to still do something with it. But if that was my only need to kind of do something with this case, and I don't have the information for it, sorry, sir. So that's a publisher clearinghouse. Romance scams, right? Set up so fake profile, right? Scammers create a fake online dating profile, often using stolen photos or videos and a fabricated persona. There is a rapid connection. They quickly establish a romantic connection with the victim, often expressing strong feelings and even proposing marriage. There will always be excuses for not being able to meet up. Okay? That's always the biggest thing. So they consistently provide excuses because they're stuck at work. A lot of times it may be a foreign thing. The AARP, the lady I said that she was scammed out of almost $500,000 out of her retirement account, her IRAs. He was an engineer from Dublin. He had just scored some sort of government contract out in kind of like Charlotte area. She was contacted by him through LinkedIn. So if you're not familiar with LinkedIn, it is kind of a social media platform that's more professional, right? So if I didn't want to work at the sheriff's office anymore, I could create a profile on there, and people can look for me in my experience and say, hey, we have a job over here at Coca-Cola. Do you want to come work for us? Looking at your resume. It's almost like you put your online resume. So, not a dating website. She said she was contacted by this gentleman through LinkedIn. So she thought legitimate. She's a divorcee, not interested in any kind of love. And it kind of started with that. She said it was around COVID. And he said, hey, I'm going to move out there and just kind of curious as to what is going on with COVID restrictions and just want like the real feel. Like I know I can Google the information, but I just want to talk to somebody that's there. Very platonic, right? And then it just kind of started working its way through its course. And before you know it, within 6 months, almost $500,000 she started giving them. And I didn't include it in here. On the back end of this, her biggest thing, and she was mid-50s, I'd say. Her biggest thing was, because again, talking to us as law enforcement, she was saying that she continues to be victimized. Okay? Not only was she victimized by this person who she thought this relationship was going to go into. Now, there's not a whole lot that law enforcement can do, but she said what ended up happening is because she drew from the 401k, her retirement account, right? Now she has to claim that as, so she had the order. She started talking about Medicare. So she started saying, since she withdrew from that, now she has to claim that as income for her taxes. Okay? Now she is claiming that as income as her taxes. What do you think just happened to her Medicare? She don't qualify. So it very quickly went from, oh, this person's just kind of interested in me, and we kind of have some stuff in common, and now I'm out $500,000, which there goes her retirement, right? But now you start looking at the back end of it, which I never even thought of, right? Because again, I've never had that situation, so I was very thankful, we all were, of her coming in and telling her story. Now she's having to claim that as income. Now it affects her Medicare coverage. Now it affects all of these other things that, as an investigator, I never even thought of, right? Because here I'm telling, you know, Mr. Man, Navy vet, I'm sorry you took out this loan, right? And now you're out $30,000, but is he going to have to claim that $30,000 now as income? Is that going to affect everything else that he does in his life, in his medical coverage? Right? It's certain things to think of. She eventually had to file for bankruptcy. Her monthly payment just for the bankruptcy is almost $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month just for the bankruptcy payments. That's not even including all of her other monthly payments that she may have, phone bill, doctor bill, everything else. Just the bankruptcy court judgment, $6,000 a month. So that's something to think about. So again, they asked for the financial request, right? And that's kind of what this, you know, her particular story was. I think the initial one was about a phone. Like he needed a phone, right? Because he's from Belgium, his phone out over there. Phones get weird when you start crossing country lines. I don't know if you're aware of that. But he needed a phone, a U.S. phone, right? Didn't have the money. I think she sent him $1,200 to get an iPhone. That was the first time. Yeah, not a big deal. Right? I'm gonna help this guy out. $1,200, not a lot when I have $500,000 in the bank. So that's kind of how it started, and then it turned into, well, now I can't come visit because my visa, there's issues with my visa, I can't, you know, there's always an excuse of why they can't meet. What I say, don't ever buy a what? Gift card, right? Because it's very easy to start getting gift cards that somebody else is buying you, and then you can now resell them, or there's buying crypto, you can do it a whole lot of different ways now. So you can do it through Apple Pay, Cash Apps, Green Dot, right, Visa, that. Like, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do with the gift cards now. And unfortunately, they're using it to go into cryptocurrency, to buy Bitcoin, and once it does that, good luck. Like for me, as an investigator. There's software out there. I have a contact in Greenville. He is on they call him a task force officer with Secret Service, but he's a Greenville City detective. The software program that he's getting right now is a pre-trial to track crypto. Just the software, $30,000 a year. Pre-trial, because this company wants Secret Service to buy this. You think Pickens County Sheriff's Office is going to buy me a $30,000 software program to track cryptocurrency? Right? So, and I'm glad, you know, we use taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer. I live down in 6 Mile, right? I wouldn't know. I don't want that.
On the gift cards, you said, now, is that like, say, Walmart gift cards, or can they track it through that, or Amazon gift cards? That type-
If anybody is soliciting you to buy a gift card, do not. Okay? If you say, you know, Sheriff, you did such a great job, and you just on your own go down to Dollar General and you want to buy him a $50 gift card on your own, nothing wrong with that. Okay? It's when you are prompted that you have to get a gift card as payment for something, that's when it starts becoming an issue, right? But if you want to give it to your grandkids, you want to give it to Miss Mary because she won the best apple pie contest, right, that we had here at the church, all of that's fine. It's just when you are solicited to buy a gift card as payment, that's a red flag, okay? Law enforcement arrest warrants, government scams, right? There's grants, jury duty, IRS. Again, since I was a baby police officer 19 years ago, jury duty was around. Okay? It is still around. And I will show you on this next slide. Okay? This one's kind of hard to see. If you want to see it closer, I can certain area where I did my probation called Rampart Division. And just around MacArthur Park and where we were, they were known for making fake IDs. So even as a brand new baby cop, I was taught from day one how to find these things. Font and spelling. Okay, font and spelling is the very first thing that I look for. Okay, so again, I'm trying to protect my victim a little bit, blocking her name here. Okay, but when you look at the totality of this warrant, this is what was sent to her in a text message. She got a phone call saying, hey, you missed federal jury duty. You have a warrant for your arrest. They sent this to her in a text message. Okay? Look at all this font. Specifically, right? Overview, right? And then you start looking a little bit closer. Look at this date. December 16th through 20th, 2024, murder trial. Right underneath it is her name. I block it out, but you can kind of see the first part of it. Okay? Does this font or this font look like the rest of this? Right? It's different. Okay? Come down here to the date. January 2nd, 2025. Does this font look like what's right next to it as date or anything else here? Alright? City and state, North Charleston. So this was sent to her in a text message. Okay? Saying, you missed federal jury duty, right? So it is one of those that, go get you. This victim, you served for the public defender's office. She should have known, right? But she fell for it, okay? This is the phone number that it came from. All the phone numbers at the sheriff's office, right? Pretty much are 898-55 something. My desk is 5529. Our non-emergency line is 5500. So she thinks this came from the sheriff's office, because that's what they told her. I'll tell you right now, I didn't do any legwork. I'm trying to find that number. You want to guess why? Because it's not legitimate. But on a call log, you can do this. Okay? So it looked like it came from the sheriff's office. Okay? This is the flyer that we made, because we were getting hammered for cryptocurrency. Excuse me. And that's why I got these things from Secret Service. You're going to stand here and read all this? I think I read it once. Right? It's a lot. So we try to make something a little more friendlier. I want to say that Sheriff and Captain Elmer put this out on maybe social media, Facebook, Instagram, not Instagram, sorry, Facebook page. But this is pretty much on the department letterhead, right? What's right in the middle underline? Hang on the phone. Okay. Again, there are just certain things I will continue to beat that dead horse. Hang up the phone. Okay. If you are not talking to them, they cannot tell you what to do. Okay. So again, it goes into government agencies never ask for payment in Bitcoin or other forms of cryptocurrency, prepaid Visa cards, Apple, gift cards, Green Dot, any of that. Okay? Scammers do. Take the phone, they can disguise the phone number, they call phones to act like it is legitimate. For example, the sheriff's office, like I just showed you. They will request cryptocurrency to satisfy a warrant, jury duty, a fine, or I even see to post bond for someone that you may know is in jail. They ask you to lie to the bank and keep the reason for your bank withdrawal secret. Cryptocurrency transactions are irreversible. You will not be able to get your money back once it's deposited. Because what ends up happening is, I'd have to imagine most of y'all use the Eagles right there on answer. Okay. That warrant that I showed you, $14,000 Eagles, right there on answer. So, you want to guess what machine it was? Coinstar. So, when you check out, right, the little read machine that's up there on the front, that you can go ahead and dump all your change into, and this is not all of them, but Coinstar, on some of them, have a software program called CoinMe, where you can purchase Bitcoin through that thing to buy Bitcoin, right? So they told her, you have a warrant, go to the bank. She banks at Truist, withdrew all the money, $14,000, then told her to drive up to the Eagles on Ann Street, and she had to feed $14,000 worth of bills into the Coinstar machine to buy crypto. It was 4 different transactions. Okay? So I can track it. That particular case, I tracked it to 4 different transactions. Mississippi, Jersey, Alabama, and Florida. I work for the county sheriff's office. Do you think my extradition warrants can touch that far? Nope. So I pass it on to Secret Service. Hey, this is what I got. I've been told by them, pretty much the U.S. Attorney's Office, unless they're dealing with over $250,000, they won't even look at a case. So this lady, $14,000. You think Secret Service picked up that case? So I spent months on it, did what I could do. But at the end of the day, sorry. So that's the unfortunate part. Okay? Hang up the phone. Don't buy crypto. If somebody tells you you are missing something, you need to buy a gift card as payment, don't do it. Okay? Next. So warning signs of a scam, right? Just like you said, with them calling you for the Norton antivirus. They were nice at first, and then they started getting threatened. Okay? They started asking for money right away. They request what? Gift cards, right? Wire transfer to crypto. You're always told to keep it a secret, and it sounds too good to be true. So what ends up happening, and I've gone into plenty of banks in regards to specifically the cryptocurrency scams. They will tell you when you go into the bank not to tell anybody what you are doing. Right? So on the phone, they will say, do not tell anybody. Right? I have one case where they said that they found a whole bunch of inappropriate images on a computer, right? And that they were trying to hang that over the person's head. It was now her deceased husband, but he started developing an addiction. He died. They said that we found all these images on your computer. I'm going to release it to your church group, that this is what your husband was doing. You're going to be mortified, right? This is disrupting language. But they told her, don't tell anybody what we're doing. So I have told these banks over and over again. I said, if you ever see somebody walking up to your counter, you guys should just make a rule that you cannot use your phone when you are at the bank teller counter, right? Because more often than not, this is what's happening, is that these people, right, these cryptocurrency scams, or some of these other scams, they're saying, go ahead and withdraw money, but don't tell them. Because what happens as soon as you hang up the phone? More likely, they're not going to be able to call you back. Or they might be able to, but their whole fear is, as soon as you do that, has everybody caught a fish in here? Right? As soon as you start feeling that fish wiggle off the hook, you kind of lost it, right? So that's the whole thing, is that they want to keep you on that hook for as long as they can. So they will tell you to stay on the phone and do not tell anybody, especially when you were at the bank. Okay? Do not tell a family member. Don't lean your wife or your husband or your kids or grandkids and tell them, hey, does this sound legit? Because what are you going to say? No, it's not. Hang up the phone, right? So they just want to keep you isolated and have that tunnel vision. Okay? Hang up the phone. Okay? Next. All right, how to protect yourself. Knowledge is power. So, did anybody know a good chunk of this before you walked in here today? No? Right? You took the time to come in, educate yourself. Right? It's like watching those Saturday morning cartoons. The more you know, right? The little shooting star rainbow. Okay? Slow down. Okay? There is nothing that I do. My boss is kind of not so much sheriff, but it's funny I have to call him that now. Just call him Tom. But slow down. My sergeant kind of gets mad at me because I get these cases. There's no sense of urgency with this stuff. When I do a court order for Wells Fargo, Truist, First Citizens, all these different banks and all these different places, when I actually get what I need from you as a victim, sit down on my computer, type it up, I go to a circuit judge in the solicitor's office, have them sign it. By the time I finally give it to Truist, by the time about 2 months. Right? There's no sense of urgency with anything that I do. Right? As you can imagine, I've kind of lived a full life already. I'm not looking to, chase people, lights and sirens anymore. I've been there, done that. I sit behind my desk now, and I type. And I'm happy with it. It's a good life. I'm happy. Right, so slow down. Don't rush to send money. Okay? There is nothing that's going to happen. Hang up the phone. Okay? Okay? Hang up the phone. Never share personal information over the phone. Okay? Social security numbers, passwords. What ends up happening a lot is by you, again, it goes back to this whole phishing thing, right? When you create an online account, it's one of those, more often than not, they have pre-designated questions, security questions. What's your best friend's name? What's your dog's name? What's your favorite color? What school did you go to? What city were you born in? Right? Those are different security questions. If somebody ever gets access to that, guess what? They can reset your password. They can get into your account. And then before you know it, that information, it's like bad guy burglar knocks on your front door and he says, I'm bad guy burglar. And you're like, okay. Then you do that and you just let him walk in. That's what you're doing online, on the computer. By you continuing to give information and telling people anything about you, you're just giving them more stuff that they may or may not have already had, and you're just kind of opening the door on your computer to your life. And once that door's open, your cattle are gone, right? They're down the road. You ain't getting them back. Okay? You would be amazed with what I can do with you on Google for 5 minutes. Not even using any of my Wazoo stuff that I might have. You just give me your name, 5 minutes on Google, I'll tell you a whole lot about it. It's called open source media. There are different ways to protect yourself. Again, that's why I try to bring as much as I could here. There's a lot, I know. I would recommend 2 of these, at least, to give, to read it at leisure. But yeah, that's all. Don't share your personal identification over the phone. Verify identity independently, right? Call your family member, the bank, the sheriff's office. So if I say, I'm Johnny from Wells Fargo, and your check bounced, okay? Well, if you don't have a checking account at Wells Fargo, that's the first red flag, right? But I can, more often than not, say, I don't think I've ever gotten a phone call from a bank saying that my check bounced. Okay? There's going to be other ways. Everybody's got apps now and things like that. Okay? Or you just look at your bank statement and it says it bounced, and now they're charging you $20 because it bounced. But it's those solicitation emails. Okay? That's what you need to worry about. If you get those phone calls from Johnny at Wells Fargo saying that your check bounced, oh, sorry, bad connection, and do what? Hang up the phone. All right? Call the bank. Okay? I want to say down here at Wells Fargo on Ann Street is Mr. Looper. All right? That's how bad it's gotten with me. I know who works at what banks now. General manager at Wells Fargo on Ann Street across from Ingles is Mr. Looper. And that's the thing. Talk to somebody you trust. Hang up the phone. Verify who they are. If I say, hey, I'm Detective Campbell from the sheriff's office, you made a fraud report. Like I said, I have to jump through hoops sometimes, just when I call people. That's why I try and email them so it's legitimate. You can see it's legitimate. It's got my business card on it, whatever else. When I call them, they're like, well, let me call the sheriff's office. And I can hear them, right? The wife's on the phone with me while the husband's, on his phone trying to call the non-emergency line. So go ahead, it's 898, it's 5500. My unit's Delta 45. Go ahead and call dispatch. And I have to go through 10 steps of security processing because they don't trust who I am because they've already been scammed. But again, I know it. I can't get mad at them for doing it. If that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. Verify it, right? Don't feel embarrassed to ask for help. Okay? Next. So, this one.
As a homeowner, does Pickens County have any protection in place against title theft?
No.
Thank you.
So I'll touch on that a little bit more later, but no. And that's, I have a lot of people that are very upset because they have, you know, some very valuable property on the lake. One gentleman that I was dealing with that was a Clemson alum that lives in Texas. This is his retirement property. He hasn't started building yet, but he's had it 18 years, 19 years. This is now the third time that this has happened. So he's called up to the Register of Deeds in the register, and he has given them a piece of his mind. He's like, I have $1 million vested in that property, and you're telling me that there's nothing that you can do to put a note on my file? And they're like, nope. So that's above my pay grade.
Why can't they put a note on?
Again, I'm not an IT guy, but I'm smart. I've been around. I would just have to say it's a software program issue. That there is probably a way somehow that if the IT people just did something and made a box on the software, the program itself, I'm sure they very well could put a note. Something very simple. That's my opinion.
Do those title protection companies help at all? Are they worth it?
Depends on which one, right? We have certain detectives that are good, certain ones that are newer. You know, same thing with any of your coworkers, right? Anybody doing anything. You have certain ones that are better than not. I will tell you, the ones that are usually more worthwhile are going to be more expensive. But it is one of those that, yes, there are different programs and software programs that are out there. It's just a matter of keeping up with it. What ends up happening, and specifically to the title theft, is keep track of it. Okay. What do you have to pay every year?
I have one of those, so.
No, I'm saying, but what do you have to pay every year with the county?
Taxes.
Taxes, right? You don't get a tax bill, guess what? Red flag. Okay. So, and that's the whole thing, is that you can just very quickly, and I do it a lot of times, even when I was on patrol out here, is I would pull up a internet window and just put Pickens County Assessor, right? And do a deed search yourself, right? You just do a real-time search for property. You can either do by name, or you can do the actual physical location of your address. And you just put it on there, and it's going to tell me who shows up, right? So if I wanted to do, like if I really wanted to figure out where he lives, Terry, I know it's somewhere up here, I can just do Tommy Blankenship and a search by name on the Pickens County Assessor website, and it'll tell me his property, how many acres he has, who else is on that deed or the title, how many acres, when they built something, kind of the property tax record, it'll be there. So, and that's just kind of one of those things that all of your stuff, all of the stuff that you are paying for, your vehicles, your boats, any kind of property taxes, so the title theft that we're talking about, it's a free website. Right? County doesn't pay for it. You can just go in there. You want to do it once a month. You want to do it once every 2 months, once a year, once every 10 years. It's kind of up to you. When I was in patrol up here, I was using it all the time. I'm like, well, who owns that property? Well, I think it's so-and-so, but I don't know. But, you know, we kind of go back and forth with, you know, who your neighbors are. And, you know, but that's just one way to do it. Is that you just have to keep on with it. Same thing with credit reports. When was the last time you went online and requested a credit report?
I don't.
But
Yeah.
can you even trust that?
If you go through a reputable company, and there's 3 of them, all right? So, and again, I have that. Experian? No. Right? I'm getting confused. Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. But yeah, if you go through a reputable company, I want to say if you just go to freecreditreport.com, right, it actually kind of has all of them combined in there. But those are really the only companies that can do it, is the free credit reports. But again, it's just by you keeping up and being proactive, protecting yourself. Right? If your fence get a text message saying that you went through a toll road and you haven't paid your fine.
I'm going to jail.
Yeah, I've been out here 3 years. I went back to California once. Sure. My folks come out and visit all the time, they love it, but they're not gonna move. And, sorry, I think of my daughter, my boss, and my coworker. So I haven't been back to California in 3 years, okay? But because I have a Los Angeles phone, I just got a text message the other day from California Tolls saying, I have fare paid. I've been there in 3 years, okay? And I didn't take a screenshot of it because I wasn't going to bombard you. I hate that by PowerPoint. I've taken a lot of training in my life, and PowerPoint's are horrendous. But if you look at, so does everybody know in the United States, the country code for the United States is +1 for a telephone number? So it's +1, right? So that's why usually when you start calling certain numbers, right, it's 1-864 or 1-818, because the country code itself is, it's always going to be +1. Okay, the phone number that texted me, it was +63. I don't know what +63 is, but I can tell you, that's not an American phone number. It's just not, okay? So immediately, I saw that, well, A, I've been in California in over 3 years, so I know I haven't driven through a toll road. And B, when I'm looking at the phone number itself, I know it's not an American phone number because it's not coming from a 1 in the area code. It's +63, and then the phone number. Knowledge is power, right? And this is a lot, and I don't expect you guys to know half of this stuff, right? But hang up the phone and how to check where the email's coming from. That right there will save you a lot of room. Okay? Yeah. All right. So what if you become a victim, right? Stop contact with the scammer. Either hang up the phone, or just stop texting them, stop replying to their emails, just stop communication. It's a bad breakup, right? That's an 888 area code, right? They just called you. Jump. Good job, right? Give a round of applause. Contact the bank if anyone was involved. There is a lot of times, but I'll be honest with you, if you go in to authorize a transaction, even if you file a fraud report or claim with your bank, they're going to deny it because you authorize a transaction. If you go into the bank and withdraw money, that is you authorizing the transaction. They're going to deny the claim. Go in there and file it, so it's on record. And I won't bore you with all the bank stuff. They'll document it, right? They're supposed to do a report on it. But if you authorize any kind of transactions and it ends up being a scam or fraud, if you authorize it, they're going to deny it, and so you're out the money. If you legitimately, somebody hacked into your debit card and charged up $2,000 at Walmart somewhere else, and that wasn't you, that's different, right? They'll give you your money back. That's true fraud. But if you are going in there and it's a scam, more often than not, the banks will deny your claim. Okay? Report it. So obviously, local law enforcement agency. White collar crimes is usually where you reside. It is your place of residence. If you own your own business and your business is the victim, right, and the business was scammed out of money, but it's in Greenville, then they're going to report with Greenville, right, or Anderson. But if it is you as a victim, personal, and you reside in a Pickens County address, then you report it with the sheriff's office. If you live in Pickens City, you go to Pickens City. Okay? Federal Trade Commission, right? 877 FTC Help. Okay, that's another place that you can report it. Again, I've been trying for weeks now to try and get more pamphlets and everything else from AARP. Not just because of the demographics that are here today, but that presentation that they put on, they have a lot of stuff, and you don't necessarily have to be members. There's a lot of things that they have. They have online groups. That's kind of this lady, when she came to the conference in Charlotte, that was the first time she had met the person that brought her from AARP, because everything that they had been doing prior to that was kind of like a Tuesday morning, kind of like a support group, but like online through Zoom. That was the first time that they met, was at the conference in Charlotte. It's kind of cool to see. But a lot of different things that are out there, right? Again, I feel so stupid. That's what this lady at the conference kept saying. feel so stupid. That's why I haven't told my family, I haven't told my kids, I haven't told my friends, I haven't told anybody. Because I feel so stupid. I'm smart, how could I have fallen for this? Everybody does. Right? I'm a visual person, right? So I'm the guy for Pickens County. These are all different cases in a month. That's 1 month. And month, not even over yet, just for Pickens County. Okay? That's Clemson, they said 4 numbers, so I don't know what that is. But you're not alone. I feel so stupid. Well, guess what? So are these people. Okay? It happens. But the only way to protect yourself is by learning, right? Just knowing different things, educating yourself. There's a dark, scary world out there, right? Just like we would protect our youngins, try to protect you as well.
Kevin, do you have a specific safe site that you can contact the federal government about your Social Security, for example, you know, our monthly checks? Because I just recently went through all this, and with the state of Florida jumping through hoops. And they ask these kind of questions like what you just said, the more you answer this, the more someone could get it. How do you know you're really talking to the right government agency? That was a very difficult problem. It's very difficult.
Good question.
Huh?
So that's a good question. Because so when people ask me law enforcement questions, hey, can I ask you a question? All right, we'll be at a cookout. Can I ask you a question? Well, here we go. Right? Because, no, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying, the problem with what I do, and just law enforcement in general, give me and you did, so I'm not talking about you, I'll step over here. If you give me a very specific set of facts, I can give you an answer. And they said, well, what if? I said, well, stop, because now you're changing it, right? So, law enforcement can be very black and white, but there's a whole lot of gray area, okay? And that's why people love to hate us sometimes. Because we just don't give them the answers that they want sometimes. So, without being on the phone with you, like sitting next to you on speakerphone, and just the way that they talk, the way that they, some of these people are very good, I'll be honest with you. The only way that I can say is if you go through an actual legitimate, right, Federal Trade Commission, but you're looking at, slow down, we go back a couple of slides, and it says, do not rush, slow down, okay? Because when you start doing a search for Google, or through Google or Bing, right, and you put FTC, what you will see is people are rushing and they are not paying attention. So instead of it being ftc.gov, they'll click on a link that says ftc.net or .com, okay? Any government agency, more often than not, is going to have a .gov, okay? Be mindful of the .nets, the .coms, all of that, those other things. So if I could give you just one simple, very quick, how to find something, I don't have something off the top of my head, I could probably try and search if you want to stay after. I could try and find something, but that's what I would be looking for. If I just put Federal Trade Commission, and then I'm looking at the actual results that are coming up from that search, that's what I would be looking for. I'd be looking for the .gov part, and not a .com, or a ftc.net, or something like that. And then from there, that information off of that website, right, will give you a phone number. And then you start talking to them, they'll give you a claim number. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of times, like Social Security and things like that, you get stuff in the mail, right? It's very rare when you actually are getting phone calls from them. Maybe that's just my own personal experience because I'm not dealing with them that much right now. But my kids got new passports, right? Everything that I'm getting is through the mail when it's coming through, like the federal government, IRS, right? I created my new business a couple weeks ago, the South Carolina Department of Revenue, right? There were certain things I had to do online. I'm waiting for the mail to get it through the mail. Law enforcement, we are not technically savvy at all. My boss, the sergeant, loves to hate me, right? So I've been down there in detectives for, I think, since November. We didn't have a color printer. Mind-boggling to me, okay? It's not something that I need every day, but we need a color printer. Kicking and screaming since November. So I'm not a shy guy, as you can tell. We finally got one. So when we got one, I looked at my sergeant and I said, "You're welcome," right? He said, "For what?" I said, "How long you been down here?" I said, "But I came down here and I kick and scream. People get tired of it. I'm the squeaky wheel, right? Now we can effectively do my job, right? I had a burglary case. We're talking thousands of dollars of jewelry that was stolen. I had to take a picture of it. I had to print the picture, but I couldn't because I had to send it to Miss Patty. Miss Patty had to print it. It's nonsense. It's not effective at all. But I had to show my victim, hey, all these jewelries, right? These pieces of jewelry, what is yours? She said, all of it. I said, and what I need you to do is put a dollar amount next to every piece that you know. How much is that ring worth? How much is that necklace worth? How much is that bracelet worth? And she did. It was about $15,000 that we got off of a guy who's still in custody. But just something as simple as that, right? So when law enforcement, the sheriff's office says, hey, we need you to pay your bail amount in crypto. We didn't even have a color printer until about 2 weeks ago. You think we have a cryptocurrency account? Right? So that's the thing. And just because, again, it's taxpayer dollars. There are certain things that we can spend money on and certain things that we cannot. But that's why I go back to look for the more official things, right? Like the .gov, the .coms, things like that is the easy answer for that. And the phone numbers off of those websites, the government websites. Okay. Yeah. Be cautious, not fearful. I probably scared a lot of people in there, right? But you're still going to walk out that door. I guarantee you, every one of you, when you walk out that door, you check your phones, right? Who did I call? My notifications, going on and on and on. We're all going to do it, okay? So I know you're not fearful, but you're going to be a little more cautious, right? Just take the time, slow down. Share what you learn, tell a friend, right? Refer a friend, kind of tell them what we have. If anybody got anything of this, and you're part of Rotary groups, Masons, this, that, and the other, and you want to do another presentation, we can do that. I can tailor this stuff. If this was, if Sheriff told me I have to go down to Pickens High School and do one for the seniors, I would change this a little bit. I tailor it for them. Continuing education, right? There's always new scams. Okay? That's why I say that Fraud Watch Network with the AARP, just go on the AARP's website, and again, I was trying to get their QR code, so you can just take a picture with your phone and it'll just take you straight to their website. But check out their website. I don't know if people are members yet or not. There's a lot of resources that they have. Like I said, they have publications that they can send you, whether it's like physical hard copies, whether it's through emails. I know that they have a text messaging system that you can just put, 7757, and you're signing up for their newsletter to come through on your phone. They have the support groups. There's a lot of stuff. I would highly recommend checking out the AARP Fraud Watch Network, and you will get a lot of continuing education through that. So we're going to end this officially, and we'll do comments, questions, concerns, but I think on my business card is the next slide again. We'll just leave that up there. So that is the PowerPoint presentation, but like I said, I'll stick around and I'll get more specific with certain things, but at least that's the meat and potatoes for some folks if they follow. Yes, sir.
Can they get, scammers, can they get your information like if you have an auto draft?
If you have a what?
Auto pay, stuff like that,
Mhm.
can they get in your information from that?
Yes. But there's different ways that they have to do that.